Is making the NBA your greatest accomplishment?
No. Staying.
Three-time NBA champion, lockdown defender, and a sniper from deep, Danny Green made his mark on the league for over 14 seasons. A key piece in championship runs with the Spurs, Raptors, and Lakers, Green set an NBA Finals record in 2013 with 27 threes in a series, a mark that stood until 2016.
You and Roger Federer retired the same day.
I knew that when it happened, yes.
Yeah, on Instagram.
Yes.
So why do you think retirement videos are not met with more joy?
The name of the podcast, man. We're kind of killing off a life that we don't want to kill off. You want to be a kid forever. As much as I said, I could be at home and do nothing if I wanted to. I've been fortunate enough to and have some people around me to help me save and put me in the right investments.
I Googled your net worth too.
And that might not be correct because, Google's not.
I know.
Google's not 100%.
But it's a lot more than what I got. The reason why I wanted to even sit down with you and talk to you about this is like the money actually doesn't matter.
It doesn't. A lot of people don't understand
It's
that.
the purpose.
The money, it's good to have. It's good to be like, I don't need to work if I don't want to.
Right.
But for me, he said, I'm trying to be one of the best in this next chapter.
What's your favorite NBA memory?
That's hard to say. Bubble was not fun.
Other than routine, what else has been a big hump that you probably weren't expecting?
I don't think anything was unexpected. You'll never know what it's like until you're in it.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of You Only Die Twice. I'm your host, Warren Ward, and we are too broke to get a mic stand. This next guest that we have on the pod needs no introduction. He's a 3-time NBA champion. He is one of 4 players to win a title with 3 different teams, including the Toronto Raptors, Mr. Danny Green. In this episode, we go over Danny's entrepreneurial ventures, his attempt and now job in media, and what he plans to do afterwards, and how his life is not just about the NBA and the success that comes with it. But before we get started, the best way to support this podcast is to like, subscribe, and of course, share with a friend. And without further ado, let's get into it.
When this is gone, I die.
First, I want to start with a question I was asked. It was like, how do you know Danny Green?
Yeah,
I
go
was
ahead.
like, that's a good question. Actually, Ray asked the question, and
Okay.
I was like, we go back like 10 years. So
That long ago.
San Antonio, when you won your first title,
Okay.
I was staying at TP's house.
You told me this. Yes.
Right.
I remember that.
You
That was a
came
long time ago.
in the club. We were at some as after you won the title. We were in some club at the top. I don't remember. It was outside though. It was
Yes.
on a rooftop.
It's a rooftop club. Inside,
Right.
It's inside, outside. type
Inside,
thing.
right. And I gave you my bottle, and you were like, and you took a shot.
Don't remember this, but yes.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Then go to the airport. I run into you again.
Okay.
Then 3 years later, your best friend and me become teammates.
That's when we really connected.
That's when I really connect. So
Yeah.
that was in Detroit. And then I stopped playing in 2018. And then you come to Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And then I seen you, and I just started broadcasting. So I seen you over and over. And then
Yes.
that's when.
multiple random times throughout the years.
So I was going to say, you might be the most random relationship that I have because I run into you
In
all
passing. Yeah,
all
all
of the time.
And then finally we connected probably
2018 when you
yes,
came here.
and then we did the camps and stuff too, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So 2 camps we've done together. So we have a long-standing relationship. And then when I decided to stop playing, obviously we started podcasting. And the topic is where you are now, you know.
Word. So that's what I was going to ask you. How did you come up with the name?
I'm a big James Bond fan.
Okay.
So he has a movie called You Only Live Twice.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard that athletes have 2 deaths. One when they stop playing and one when they actually die. So
Yeah.
I kind of married the 2, and that's where the name
For
came
sure.
from. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I feel like humans, not most, but a good amount of humans that do multiple professions, you start different chapters, like, yeah, you kind of kill off a different type of persona.
That's
type of person of you. So yeah, athletes more so because it's such a drastic change.
Which is why I think it's such an important thing that's not discussed.
Yes.
So I guess my first question to you would be, why is the topic important to you?
Because I think it's important for athletes, not just basketball players, to know and to be prepared for the change before the second life. For the second life,
Okay.
a lot of guys are not prepared for the second life, a life after basketball, and they have, some I wouldn't say relapses, but they go through some withdrawals. They go through a lot of different things and changes in their household. Why you see relationships break up, why some guys end up having to do different things. They lose a lot of money. They lose a lot of different things. They're not used to not being in the spotlight. They're not used to being in a locker room and sharing a space. Ultimately, for me, I think the biggest adjustment or change that makes it weird for us or harder for us is not having routine. when you go for 20 years, waking up every day, knowing what you're going to do and doing that every day and having, all right, I'm going to eat, work out, go to class, or I'm going to work out, I'm going to do this. And there's a purpose for the workout. It's not just working out because I want to stay healthy. It's I'm working out because I'm performing in a professional sport or a collegiate sport. Now we're working out just to look good for our family or on camera, whatever it is we're doing. It's not for playing 82 game season.
Right.
So getting up and having a routine of like lifting weights, stretching, shooting, not having that every day because there's no purpose of doing that. It takes a toll on guys. Not me even now, like I do some stuff with media. I do some stuff with ESPN, some stuff with Turner, FanDuel.
Yeah, you coming from my
but
job.
It's still not a stable thing. So I'm not exclusive to any network. So it's still a very up in the air, like when they need you. It's like week to week, month to month. All right, we need you this week. For me, I don't like operating in that space. I want to know what my schedule is for the month.
Because you've been doing that.
I want to know what my day-to-day is. Like I want to know what I'm doing. I want to just be waiting around for phone calls. So like that's what the retirement came about, because I was waiting around for a year, waiting for a phone call, working out to see if I was going to be picked up by a team. I was like, ultimately, I could probably keep fighting and keep hooping. I know I'm very capable.
Right.
I could probably play overseas. Did not want to pick my family up and move again. I did not want to be waiting around and waiting for phone calls. I was like, let me just move on to the second life and figure out how to get a new routine, doing something different.
Doing something else. Well, we'll talk about what that is.
Yeah.
How much of who you are is tied to basketball?
A lot of it. I wouldn't say all of it, but I learned a lot of it through basketball. The coaching staff, obviously my family, my parents, my dad was a big part of it. But the coaches that I played for, the teammates that I've had, just the atmospheres that I played in, the cities, helped me become me. And, not just in a basketball sense, but in a real life sense.
Okay.
Just doing things the right way. I played for some crazy coaches that were perfectionists. And without them, I probably wouldn't be a pro. No, not probably. I wouldn't be a pro. I wouldn't have the same, I guess, drive, the same motivation, the same, I guess, mental philosophies instilled in me to be able to make it. You got to have a certain discipline and certain ethic, especially when you don't have the most God-given talent in the world. I wasn't the most athletic. I wasn't the tallest. I wasn't the fastest. I had to be smarter than everybody to make it. And I had to work. So without those coaches, I don't make it. And that helped me not only in a basketball sense, but in a life sense, to be able to manage my circle, manage my family, manage my friends, prepare for a family, prepare for life after basketball, and know what it's like to work hard and be in the real world, because NBA is not the real world and the working space. Interesting
you say that. You talk about philosophies. Can you give me an example of one of those philosophies that you live by?
I mean, just for like the biggest thing early on, some of my coaches and fathers taught me, ones I live by, to never be satisfied, which is not you could look at it in different ways. But when you become satisfied, you kind of reach your end goal soon. Like you don't have that hunger, that motivation to try to be more or to do more. A lot of other things is like control your emotions. Like there's a lot of different small gems in there. But ultimately, it's a skill to be a hard worker, and you have to work at that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a blessing to be able to have opportunities, to be able to explore different places, to be able to play the game. You're no different. Just because you're good at one thing doesn't mean you're better than anybody. You're no different than anybody. You put your pants on just like everybody else does, and you should never act like you're bigger because you do something well.
For sure. Understood.
Which, they keep me grounded. So, keep me grounded and not being a diva is probably the biggest change for a lot of guys. They're used to traveling, private by charter. When you're traveling not first class or economy, you're a
little different.
You carry your own bags. It's a different life. Pump your own gas. Like you're not getting the same attention. People are not recognizing you. It's a different adjustment. I never cared for it, and that's a big part of being the San Antonio Spurs culture. Like
you don't really
following
get that.
Timmy. Yeah, they get a lot of it, but they don't act like they're anybody's like a superhero or superstar. They are very grounded guys, and they know what the real world is about. And being in the NBA is like Christmas every day, and it's not the real world.
You and Roger Federer retired the same day.
I knew that when it happened. Yes.
Yeah, on Instagram.
Yes.
So I sent you a message.
I thought I was the only person that was like, Roger Federer. I was like, of course.
I sent you a message, saying congratulations.
And I appreciate that.
And
I try to get back to everybody. So those who sent messages I didn't get back to, thank you. But I try to respond to everybody.
Probably got a lot of messages.
Overwhelmingly, which was surprising. It was a lot of love from everybody, which was great.
Of course, man. I mean, cool. you had a long resume, which we'll get into.
I want to thank Darren, who was a friend of mine that because I was ready to just hang it up and not tell anybody. Like for making me do it the right way.
Yeah.
Like making the announcement the right way.
Of
A lot of
course.
my friends were like, no, you can't just.
No.
You got to let people know, do a video, make an announcement, let people give the news so they can celebrate you the right way. So
100%.
our mutual friend and other mutual friends, pushed me to like, because, as a San Antonio Spur, we don't care to be in the limelight. I said, it's a joke that Roger Federer, I didn't care that he retired at the same time, but people are like, oh, it's going to overshadow you. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
When I retired, I was actually in a prison with Darren and Tori and all those
Of course.
guys. We were doing the prison visits.
That's
so
dope.
it was a great all around day and feeling of getting to love. Because I also didn't have my phone. When you go in the prisons, you got to put your phone away. So I got some message early on, put my phone away, came back to it. There was a lot of messages, blowing up. So it was cool.
Why do you think it's met? I mean, so both the videos, I watched both the videos, and they're both kind of somber.
Yes.
Why do you think retirement videos are not met with more joy? Even though like that chapter is done and you have so much more life to live, but it's never met with excitement.
It's just like the name of the podcast, man. Like you're killing off a great person that everybody knows. It's kind of like when you watch your favorite TV show. If you watch 6 seasons of Lost, maybe you haven't, but if you watch Ozark or Game of Thrones,
I watch
you
Ozark.
build a relationship with these people that you have no idea who they are. And as much as you are happy that you finished the series, you're kind of like, damn, I want to know what these people are doing in real life. Like, are we going to see these people again? Like, they're become part of your family. So I was lucky enough to be playing, for some great organizations, be on TV, and for people to see me as a household name and to know who I am and to be a part of their, subconscious family. You know what I'm saying? Like, subconsciously be a part of their, their household. And, and not only for me, but for them, it's like coming to an end where I'm not going to be there anymore. And also for me, it's me not be able to play. We're kind of killing off a life that we don't want to kill off. You want to be a kid forever. You want to live forever. You want to do the young things. Most old people wish they knew what they knew now and could do it
at a young
age.
Yeah,
so
for
you
sure.
want to be able to do it forever.
I think about that sometimes right now, and I'm not old. So
we're not old, but it's like, I know a lot more now than I did then. If I knew
sure.
now if I know then what I know now, I would have been a hell of a player.
Right. Well, I took it a step further. I watched Roger Federer's documentary.
I haven't got a chance to see it yet.
It's called The Final 12.
Okay.
And in the documentary, he's crying and he says he doesn't know what's next. So I went and I Googled Roger Federer and I'm like, look at his net worth, almost $500 million.
Yeah.
So the reason why I wanted to even sit down with you and talk to you about this is like the money actually doesn't matter.
It doesn't. A lot of people don't understand
It's the purpose. Like if I take away the thing that allows you to make the money, then the money actually is insignificant because my joy is gone. My purpose of why I'm doing the thing to make the money is completely irrelevant and it's gone.
Yes. And back to routine.
That too.
It's like we're so used to moving around. Sitting still, I think we're just happy doing something. And it may not be what our purpose is, but it's like, we're used to traveling. We're used to seeing people. We're used to seeing our friends. We're used to doing things a certain way and seeing certain cities, certain places, being in certain arenas, getting love in a certain way that we're not going to get anymore. We're not going to be in arenas and celebrate it. Luckily, I was there today. I was still be able to be celebrated when I walk into some arenas, but nowhere near as it was when you're playing.
Of course.
So yes, the money, it's good to have. It's good to be like, I don't need to work if I don't want to.
Right.
But ultimately, you're not going to sit at home. You're just not ever used to doing that. And it's not something, some guys can.
Yeah.
But when you're that type of a competitor or type of worker, you're going to find yourself in the gym more or find yourself doing random things just because your routine is used to traveling and being out. But ultimately, yes, finding a purpose of not only helping your children, but the next generation.
Yeah.
Be the next you, people from your area, from your hometown, people that look like you.
Even Gilbert Arenas said he was 32, retired, worth $100 million, and he'd be driving around LA for 3 hours because because of the game time. The game's at 7 to 10, so he didn't know what to do, so he's driving around. That's the first time I really heard and I tried to understand. I'm like, it doesn't matter what level you play at. This is something that everyone kind of
got a lot of life left to live.
Exactly.
You got to find something to do, man.
So did you ever feel a sense of loss when you retired?
Yes and no.
Okay.
But I was fortunate enough to have a good foundation around me to prepare me for that. And I prepared myself for when it was over, for the adjustment and finding a new routine. Mm-hmm. So I went from one job right to the next.
Which is what?
Just going into the media space. So I've been doing podcasting for a while.
We know. Yep.
Inside the Green Room with Harrison Sanford, my guys, with Danny Green. This will be coming up on 7 years this summer.
Yeah.
We have been doing it.
Which was started here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It kicked off as soon as right before the trade happened, but we started in studio here.
What made you decide to do that?
I can't take credit. Harrison. It was all
Okay.
Harrison.
It was Harrison's idea?
Yeah, because in
Okay.
San Antonio back then, social media wasn't a big thing. They don't encourage you to be doing a lot of things off the court,
Gotcha.
especially when it comes to media. They keep everything in house. They don't want story shit. So I was
Kinda
like
the
Harrison,
Raptors.
I don't know, man.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right, I'll do it. And then the trade happened. Luckily for me, because it was like I think it would have been hard doing it in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a fresh start. I was here. Bobby Masai, just saw them. Shout out to them. A lot of love.
Mm-hmm.
Open me and him with open arms. The whole media side, Shelby, everybody was great, and was like, "Yo, let us know what you need." And then Yahoo, we had some good sponsors that connected with us. So it made it great. It made it fun. It had an unbelievable studio and a space to interview my teammates, learn about them, and other people.
At the highest levels, so your level, NBA level,
Okay.
right? It's often referred to as a career. And other people who play sports, it's often looked at as a chapter in their life.
Yes.
Mainly because of the financial difference.
Yes.
Do you look at it as a chapter, or do you look at it as a full-on career?
I guess it depends on who you are, in a sense.
But you in particular.
For me, I look at it as a chapter.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It goes back to the never being satisfied thing.
Fair.
Because whatever I do next, I'm going to try to be the best at it. And
So
I want to
what's your career that you're looking to get into now?
So as I'm doing the media thing, it's like, as much as I said, I could be at home and doing nothing if I wanted to. I've been
100%.
fortunate enough to and have some people around me to help me save and put me in the right
I
investments.
Googled your net worth too.
And that might not be correct because Google's not.
I know.
Google's
I
not
know.
100%.
But it's a lot more than what I got. So
it's more. So I've been fortunate. It's more than enough. And take care of my family and hopefully said the grandkids and so on. But when I look at the next challenge, whatever it is, it could be pickleball. I'm going to try to be the best pickleball player there is. But when I'm in the media space now, it's like, all right, who am I looking at to idolize and try to be like, or try to, be in their space? You look at the Stephen A. Smiths, you look at the Skip Baylesses.
I'd rather not look at Stephen A., but yeah.
He's great. He's been number one for like 12 years.
I hear you. Michael Strahan for me.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's different people. You
Right.
know, I like Jalen Rose, Shannon Sharp.
Yep.
There's a lot of other guys that have done it. I don't believe even JJ before he started coaching.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Duke guy, but I respect him. We've had some battles, but he did an unbelievable job in the media space.
Absolutely.
Richard Jefferson now is a guy that's kind of taking me under his wing and teaching me the ropes. He's calling some games, but he comes naturally. Some guys that talk, and I talk quite a bit, but some guys that talk a lot, it just comes natural to them to be able to come up with ideas on the spot and throw out good, analogies. So I'm learning from them, trying to be in that space, and even the women in that space. Malika, Shanae, they're great. And at times intimidating because, they've been doing this for so long. I'm like, damn, they're so good. I have to try to keep up.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, he said that it's a chapter because I'm trying to be one of the best in this next chapter to where, I'm not looking at it as, a career is over,
And like, with that being said, like, you don't have the motive. Like for me, for example, as a broadcaster, like, I get paid to do that, so that's my motivation in a sense. Like I get to talk about something I love to do. But you don't need the money.
Yes.
So like, what gets you up in the morning to get up and be motivated for something where you actually don't have any other any external motivations?
The children, the wife and kids, man.
Okay.
And more so the children because I don't need to set an example for the wife, but I think it's
She
important.
sets an example for
yeah,
you.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
think it's important. And I talk about it with Harrison. I think it's important for your kids, no matter what it is, how much money you made, to see you what it's like to work, to see you get up every day and go to work and go
set
do
an
something.
example, yeah.
Because life is not easy for NBA players and NFL and soccer players. They make a lot of money, so your life is very easy for them. But that's not going to be particularly their life. They might not make it. They need to know how hard it is in the real world to make a living and to get up every day, like. The mental toughness of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just doing that of setting an example, that's the main thing is the kids, but also just me finding my purpose and just being the best I can. I have a lot of life to live. I feel like I can give more, not only to myself but to the world in other ways.
Do you think that's actually hard? Because like I don't have kids.
It's not easy.
But like, you technically don't have to do anything. So how do you set an example? Because like where you grew up and how you had to get to the NBA, your children won't have to do that per se. Like they
probably not, maybe not. But is it hard for me to? I think
like instill that in
for
them.
some, it can be.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be very strategic in your approach.
Right.
I plan on raising my kids like I was raised in the 90s. So, but also not letting them know my net worth. They may well Google, but I'm definitely going to raise them like we're broke. You're gonna learn the value of $1. You know what I'm saying? Because most kids, all kids are spoiled these days.
Are you looking to adopt anybody?
No.
Nobody?
No, I was gonna have them naturally and be be cool.
I tried.
Hey, wifey,
I tried, man.
If wifey says she wants to adopt an adult, dark skinned man, I'm a questioner, but I'm like, Warren's cool, so I get it. If you help around the house, do some chores,
I might.
But nah. Yeah, man. So it's been cool I think it'd be cool to see how they grow up and also how I can strategically raise them.
Right.
So. And I tried, she obviously, it's new technology. Everything on Instagram is TikTok. You have so much information. It's too much information. They're like, oh, you shouldn't do this. And it's great to have. But ultimately, it's like, kids will follow your lead. They'll be okay if you don't do everything perfect. Nobody's perfect. No parent is perfect. But I don't want them to be, they're going to be spoiled naturally, but I don't want to be spoiled brats.
Yeah.
And I want them to know the value of $1.
That's so important.
From the jump.
What has been, other than routine, I'm pretty sure that's probably been the biggest challenge for you since retiring.
Mm-hmm.
What else has been a big hump that you probably weren't expecting? Because I'm sure you thought about what would be a challenge, but what's something that came unexpectedly?
I don't think anything was unexpected. I just don't think you'll never know what it's like until you're in it, and that's parenthood. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Going through that's like, I wanted kids, I expected kids. We tried for kids. You don't know when you walk in that room when the baby's coming out. Like, you don't know what's gonna, like, you expect some things, but it gets real.
I'm sure it does.
When childbirth happens, when you're alone with the kid, and those first 3 months of trying to take care of a human, and it's not just like give a human back, like it's all day 24-hour thing. You gain a lot of respect for women, moms, single moms, parents. You look at your parents in a different light, how they raised you. Not all good. Some bad, but mostly good. Like, oh, you actually sacrificed a lot. And some of the things you're like, damn, you really did that with us? Like, I can't believe you weren't perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like, but so there's a lot of realization when that happens, and people say you changed in an instant, and you won't understand that till you go through it.
Fair.
So yes, and I'm a night owl. I'm up all night. I don't need a lot of sleep. You don't know what not sleep is until you have a kid. You'll just never know that until you have kids. And you're just like, okay, yeah. This is not sleep.
It's fair to say the biggest joy was your family now.
100%. 100%.
Do you believe that the financial success that you've achieved makes it harder for people to be sympathetic towards you, maybe feeling like, yeah, you know what, I am retired from the NBA, but like life is actually hard for me?
100%. I mean, I do it with other people too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You look at Bronny James right now.
Yeah.
He don't have to play basketball. But you better believe he's going through it. Like, there's a lot of pressure on that young man.
Media-wise, he's going through it.
There's a lot of pressure.
Maxey gave him 40 the other day.
As basketball-wise, media-wise, as a LeBron James name-wise, him carrying his father's name.
Yep.
But nobody feels bad for him. It's like, you're a LeBron James' son. Like, you're in the NBA, which
he
a lot of
didn't
people
have to go play basketball.
You don't have to do a lot of things.
I mean,
I don't have to do a lot of things, but I'm still doing them. But just, I mean, any sense, anybody that's made a lot of money, you don't feel bad for them. And you don't realize there's a lot of mental health aspect that comes into play when you're doing different things.
So do you think someone who hasn't prospered as financially, like, for example, like myself, like, this is an important topic for people who have maybe played professional sports as I have, but then had to stop and like transition into something else?
I can't imagine how hard it would be for someone like you.
Yeah. Or anybody else.
Exactly.
Olympians.
The only thing that we try to, I'm gonna say, justify or make people understand or sympathize, like, I love where, like I said, that I was a good player but not a great player, because those guys can't operate like normal humans around the world. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They can't have a normal life. Right. Like LeBron, KD, Steph, they can't go to the park with their kid without being mauled. Yeah. So there's different type of stresses. You know, they have a lot of money, but there's things that they can't do that a normal human could do.
Just because they're so good.
And some of them would take on all the money for sure without the fame, but the fame comes with it, and it's like a lot of bad comes with the fame. A lot of things you're limited because of the fame, but people are, oh, well, you have millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, which is
don't
cool,
complain.
But that doesn't change the fact that, you know, they're very limited in the things that they can't live a normal life, which you give up some of the money for.
What's a feeling that you can't get back, that you wish you could live out every day, you know what I mean, from basketball?
just when it's the purity, like when it's pure. It's not always pure. There's a lot of politics in everything that you do. There's a lot of politics in the game, in every profession. But when it's pure, when you're in the moment and you're just having fun with your teammates in the locker room, like on the planes, talking, just messing around. Some of them gambling. Those feelings, those moments, winning, going into battles, even the losing battles, but just the memories, the stories, the fun times of even the days in high school, AAU, just doing silly stuff as a teenager. But when you're making a big play or a big moment and the fans are cheering in it, those moments are going to be the ones I think the hardest to miss. It's because you watch it on TV now, like, damn, I wish I was in the game. So-and-so just hit a big shot, like, damn, I could still do that shit right now. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I was at my boy's getting married next month. I was at his bachelor dinner yesterday. Same thing. All we did was talk about the stories from high school and different games, and like you can't get that back. Like they're talking about who scored what. It doesn't even matter.
So when I played, even now, I try not to reminisce. More so when I played. Because when you reminisce, that's when you like start to see like the end. When you start to get satisfied. Yeah. And I hear my friends always talk about, their playing days. I'm like, yo, it wasn't that long ago. You know what I'm saying? I was still playing. I'm like, he's like, yo, back in my day. I'm like, yo, it was like 5 years ago. You stopped playing. But for like now, you think 5 years is like,
it's a long time.
If not playing, you used to doing it every day. That's a long time. Even 2 or 3 years. Like, damn, I stopped playing. Some of them haven't picked up a basketball since. And it's like, they look like it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They look like it. But some of them still like try to stay around the game and hoop, and they're just trying to find it in your local LA Fitness or your local gym, playing in 40 and over leagues or 35 and over leagues, and they have some fun, but it's not the same.
Yeah. Do you ever find like I stopped playing 7 years ago now, which seems like a long time. Even
it is a long time.
Bro, college was 12 years ago, which is crazy. And you ever find like the further you get away from the game, the more and more people's memories of what you used to do gets way more fabricated. Like people are like, yo, bro, I remember you used to score 40.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Yeah. I really didn't do that much.
They have a moment of you they hold on a pedestal, like they just your highest moment.
Well, you for sure. Yeah.
So like, even when I was a kid, there's guys that I look at now and I'm like, he was so good back when I was like, what happened to him? Like, and I look at the tapes, I'm like, he really wasn't that good. But I was like in 8th grade, 13, like looking up to him, like, yo, he was like 6'8". And I'm like, look at him now, I'm like, he's like 6'4". Like, no, he shrunk. I'm like, to me, he was 6'8". He was like a watered down J kid. And I'm like, yo, he was nice. But I'm like, looking back, I'm like, he was just okay. You know? But we just see these people at a young age, like as a certain like persona, like we hold them on a pedestal, and it's like, you never forget that. Yeah. That one game or that one. And it's like, oh, you had one dunk. It's like, oh, yo, he had like 30. But the stories do get fabricated. People misremember how things go, and it's always funny to hear. And me, I've been fortunate to play so much basketball. I've kind of like the college days, like they have to remind me what happened. It's like, then it comes back somewhat. And I was like, I don't remember happening that way, but you probably have a better memory than I do because, I was playing so many more games that the memory is very, chopped up.
I just let it go. I'd be like, oh yeah, that happened. That was sick. That's dope, man. I'm glad.
Same. I'm like, glad you remember that. I don't remember that, but I'm like, hey, you would know better than me.
What's your favorite NBA memory?
That's hard to say, and I always give this analogy to people. I only have one. I hope to have more children, but it's like asking about your favorite children.
Everyone has a favorite.
What's your favorite championship? It's like you have, some people have a favorite child, but you love them differently. You can't say, oh, I love Dion has a pecking order, but they're all different experiences. You love them differently, but in a sense. But I think my favorite moments probably in the finals, and probably my first finals. We lost, sucked, but as it was happening, it was a lot of fun. Second one was fun too. Every time we went, third one, the bubble was not fun. So yeah, that was not a happy moment. Wow, but winning it was very gratifying. It was like just a relief. It was just a tough space. So no matter how nice no matter how great you make the space, it's gonna be, you're there for 100 days. It's gonna be tough.
No family, no nothing outside. Just
first 2 months, no family. Then you're allowed in one family member, a wife or girlfriend or you were allowed one family member.
So how'd you stay engaged in that environment? Because it's so different.
It's tough, man. And it said everything's magnified on us. So everything social media wise, because every other sport had stopped, and we were like one of the first ones back.
Right.
So everything. It was hard to stay locked in. You had to find other ways to do. I was taking Spanish classes, trying to find TV series, just because there was a time I was a big fan of the game. I still am, but I kind of built in stay away from the all sports type of factor like midway through my career.
During COVID?
Just stopped watching before COVID,
Okay.
which helped me. It helped me through COVID and helped me through the bubble, because you keep watching basketball so much, you're gonna burn out. So when I come home, I stopped watching sports, TV series, other stuff. Some basketball during the playoffs or here and there when I have to watch a matchup.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, I try to stay away from the game so that I don't fry my mind of sports. Now it's my job, so I have to watch it some now.
Fair, yeah.
But and with the kids, it's tough because no screen time. But yeah, I try to stay away from the game.
Would you do that in the off season too? Like just go ahead and play other sports and never like hoop as much?
Yeah, well, it made it easy off season because hooping wasn't around as much. Football was my main two sports were football and basketball, and so they weren't around much in the off season. So it was easy not to watch. I just travel, be with friends, hang out, party, try to see as many countries, cultures as possible. But yeah, try to do different things.
What is the worst? I asked you the best, so you said you gave a really good answer. But what's the worst memory you have in the league?
Losing in the finals.
Yeah, of course.
I've been fortunate enough to be there. Yes.
Yeah.
So I've only been 4 times, and I was lucky to win 3 out of the 4 times. I don't think I've been another time where I lost in the finals.
You're one of 4 people in NBA history to win.
I've been very lucky. So the first time was fun. So it was the happiest, and the Ray Allen shot. And then the following year, because that film session with Pop, that following year was probably the hardest film session I've ever been through.
Why?
But he just, the last end of the game, those plays, Ray Allen shot like the last 2 minutes, so many mistakes we made and that I was involved in.
And he singled you out.
I wouldn't say I was the only person singled out, but I was a very heavy
focal point.
Yes, I was a very heavy focal point in the mistakes. And
how'd that make you feel?
I mean, never made anybody feel great. I mean, I felt bad about losing already.
Of course.
Coming back, it's just like, damn, I feel like I really let my team down.
Mm-hmm.
And but everybody felt like they had a chip on the shoulder the whole year to try to like get back there and win. For me, it was like I had a tough summer because I didn't take many days off. I didn't take much of a break. It was a week later, and I was back in the gym lifting and shooting. I was young at the time, luckily, so I was able to not wear my body down as much.
For sure.
But I had in my mind that we lost because it was my fault.
I understand that. Yeah. Even though it wasn't. There's so many plays.
So many plays.
You know how basketball works.
But,
There's so many plays in the beginning of the game.
A couple things I could have changed. I mean, that's just who I am naturally, but it wasn't just my fault. But I made some mistakes. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be the person. I'm not going to be the reason why, if we get there again, that we lose.
Which you did.
Yeah.
And then you set a record in the finals.
That was actually the year we lost.
Oh, it was the year we lost?
Yeah,
okay.
So the year I lost is when I set the record. But we won the following year. We won pretty good. But, we all did great. We did all the things we needed to do to hold the trophy up.
Well, I looked it up. It was Steph Curry, Danny Green, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Steph
Steph
Curry.
had been there so many times.
Yeah.
And, I had the record for maybe a couple of years. It wasn't long lasted because after that, Warriors went on an unbelievable run. He was in the finals like 6-7 straight times. Yeah. And, he gets a lot more attempts than I do.
Of course.
Not to say that I could outshoot Steph. Either he got less attempts. He's the best shooter in the game that we've seen. So He's just a very good shooter. But it was only a matter of time for him to break the record.
And you're one of 4 players, as I said earlier, you're one of 4 players to win a title with 3 different teams.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, I've been
at
the right place at the right
man.
time, lucky enough.
But you also won in high school. You
won
in college.
I won, but so high school one is a asterisk because I didn't win the state title. That's the only one I didn't get. I won like a Long Island championship, then went to the States. We kind of got cheated, I want to say.
What happened?
Cheated. So the same team that we beat 2 or 3 weeks prior, we beat them by 25 or so. We played them in like one of the finals in the playoffs in the state. We had an injury. I fouled out. My brother fouled out. Another guy had fouled. A lot of our guys fouled, like
all of a sudden fouled out.
And we
it's crazy. You never forget that, though.
We end up losing overtime. Now, of course, you don't remember the losses.
Yeah,
Everybody remembers the bad stuff.
Yeah.
More so than the good. But yes, that's also what my coaches instilled in me. Just like, you had a great game, but you missed 2 free throws. You could have boxed. You had 9 rebounds, but you missed these 3 box outs. And that's what's like, you can never be satisfied with how great you are, what you've done, because you can always be better.
I know you're in the media space now, but what's your approach to like maybe being your own boss and following your own like entrepreneurial ventures? Is that something you're interested in?
Yeah, I mean that's the goal, right?
Right.
To be retired, like work hard early, live easy later.
Right.
Do the media stuff. Said be one of the best in it, and then I don't plan on being it forever. I would love to retire once the kids are old enough to see that I were and be almost at the house, retire. Me and the wife just go sell the world, like travel the world and just kick it. So I would like to do a good 10 to 15 years in this game and then be done with it. I mean, obviously, you just never know at that time what the situation's like. You know, you're Charles Barkley and they're offering you big money. It's hard to just turn it down because everybody could always use. And if you love doing it and it's easy, not easy, but it's easier because you've done it so much. It's hard to say no to it, but the goal is to maximize it as much as I can and be done with spend time with the family because we've taken so much, sacrificed so much of our time early on that we missed some moments with them.
How do you decide what you want to invest in or what you want to spend your time?
I have help, a lot of help.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of help. Obviously, reading things. A lot of things come across your desk. People bring to you ideas.
That's my point.
You
getting bombarded with
people
different
vet it.
things.
You have people look at it. You have a lot of people give their opinion on it.
So how do you decide to trust their opinion and maybe not your own?
Over time. I mean, some of them do it professionally. Some of them don't. But some of them have been around long enough to know what they've done and see. And then, you give them a project, see how successful they can handle the project. Then you give them another one. If they continue to prove that they're good enough to be in the space, it's like, all right, then you keep trusting them with different things. And then over time.
Has it ever backfired?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Everybody's taking losses, man. There's not a athlete in this game that has not done some years and have not gotten or taken a loss. Luckily for me, I'm pretty on top of my stuff. So my losses weren't big losses.
And you got a very close-knit group.
I was able to catch them early. Mm-hmm. Like, I was one of those guys that checked my accounts all the time, check where this is going. So it was like somebody that was, taking money out that wasn't supposed to be taken. I'm like, all right, so over this past year, you've taken this out. What have you done with it? Why? I don't see the results of it coming back or being invested. And they didn't have answers. So ultimately, it's like, all right, but I took a loss, but it was a short loss because I tracked it and followed it. But you always take losses. You take, even with friends and family, you make mistakes. Some have investments. They're like, oh, they bring this to you.
Right.
I'll give them, a couple opportunities for like a couple ideas. That
I'm sure everyone has ideas.
You get, certain close friends, like you get 3 favors and 1 business opportunity. And depending on how you use those favors and that business opportunity is whether or not you get a second business opportunity. And maybe another favor or 2 after that, but not everybody gets 3 favors though either.
So then this would be 1 favor then.
Yeah.
You count this one for me.
Yeah, this might be 2. No, nah. But yes, my closest friends, and it depends on the person.
Yeah.
Depending on what space I know you were in and how long you studied it, and like how well versed you are on that space. And it's like, all right, I'll see how confident, and then I'll be like, all right. But ultimately, my closest friends said they all gotten a couple favors. And they've gotten a business opportunity to come the way so that I can help them get off the ground, whatever it is their idea is that they want to do.
This is actually very curious. I'm so interested to ask this question because I was thinking about it myself. Mm-hmm. The last job before I started working in what I'm doing right now was I worked at the Bay with my mom.
Okay.
So have you ever, other than hooping, because I think about it like high school, college, you went to UNC. I'm sure you weren't working there. Mm-hmm. You went overseas for a few years, went to the league, did all that. Have you had a normal job? Like
my first job was when I was 13 years old. I did some construction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I got fired quickly because of actual rate. They were paying us under the table and a lot less than minimum wage.
Okay.
Of course, my dad talked me into talking to the guy like, you should be paying you more. So,
in New York?
Yeah, it's in New York. That's where I grew up, in Long Island, New York. And, I asked him, I guess I asked for a raise. Yeah, I asked him like, let
me get a
raise. And they were like, we don't need you back. But so I did it for a week. It was a lot. It was like being up 6 a.m, carrying bricks and pieces of wood, and it was a lot of stuff. And I was playing football at the time, so I was 13 years old. I'm gonna say I was super strong, but I had been working out at the time, so I was strong enough to be able to lift certain things. But that was my first job. I did some other stuff when I was in college. Interned. I say interned because they paid me a little bit.
Right.
At Wachovia, which was a bank that no longer exists anymore.
Okay. What'd you do there?
Just crunching some numbers. I honestly couldn't even tell you how it was. They just told me how to do the system, and I just did the system of numbers, how to plug in things for certain things. So I did that. I also caddied once for Coach Williams. It was a long day. I'd never do that again. Mind you, I didn't have golf equipment. I'm out there in Tim's and jean shorts. I did like 8 or 9 holes, and you realize how long the hole, it's a lot. And it was hot out there, too. In North Carolina, it's hot. So... I've done some random things here and there, but those are the ones that come to mind, the bulk of it, like real jobs that I had.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think playing professional basketball, as long as you have, has, I don't want to say hindered, but taken a lot of your time away, so you haven't really developed other skills that could be applicable to, maybe your own business ventures?
Some, not a lot, because we have a lot of downtime in our days to pick up other things.
And have you done that?
And I took advantage of that. Like guys, and a lot of them play video games, and
we don't.
Guys can do streaming, guys can do this, can do that, and a lot of those things can relate to like becoming a pilot. My brother is doing pilot school now, but he kind of translate what he does with video games to like learning the system and being in an airplane. So you can pick up a lot of different things. You could pick up cooking. A lot of things I plan to do now that I'm retired. Like I would love to get into archery, a lot of different things, taking classes, doing this, learning how to sail, learning how to fly, like all those things would be great. I'm not saying I would get around to them, but I would love, my idea of it.
To try them for sure.
So yes, we have a lot of time to pick up those things, and we have a lot of time to like venture out. Some guys don't take advantage. I wouldn't say I took advantage fully, but I definitely did during my time. Like prepared.
You've always been pretty.
Because I was never great. I was never great, and even early on, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna last long. I don't know if I'm gonna crack a rotation. I don't know how long I'm gonna be in this game. And it's like, I need to, even when I was in school, I was like, I had to do 4 years of school and make sure if I don't make the NBA, that I have a backup plan. So I had to do those things because I wasn't sure if I was gonna make it.
What'd you graduate with?
Communications degree.
All right. Well, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I looked up to Stuart Scott. So that's before I even played. I was like, Stuart Scott, rest in peace, was one of my guys I looked up to. Rick Fox, all these Carolina guys that did TV.
Ahmad Rashad was mine.
Ahmad was another one. All these guys. So I watched them. I was like, all right, if I can't play, maybe coach or play development. But I was like, I know it's stressful, but maybe media side too.
Well, what's a skill that nobody knows that you have?
I don't have many skills, man. Couldn't tell you.
It ain't dancing, that's for
sure.
I'm joking.
Ain't that.
I'm joking.
I used to be able to cut some rug back in my day. Not as much anymore. The rhythm is way off.
Oh, don't kill me.
But there's some things I would like to pick up. I said I would love to do like some random cooking classes and not painting or drawing because that's just, I don't know if I have the patience. Golf, I think, is one I would love to get into.
Everybody does that.
Everyone's like, you got to get into this. And I'm like, man, I don't have the patience
I know, man.
to do things that I'm not good at.
Facts.
It's frustrating. You know what I'm saying? It's going to take some time to like just to get a good swing down. But any talents? No. I mean, I'm a very, I wouldn't say OCD person, but I'm a very organized, clean guy. I feel at ease when things are done around the house.
Same.
That's just, and I feel like I was going to do a survey at one point. Like, I felt like all like shooters have to have some type of form of OCD in them, but that might be, when I saw Clay, I'm like, I don't know if he's OCD. Like, I just don't know many guys. I'm not saying he's a messy guy.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he carries him. Like, I feel like shooters that shoot the same way, like Ray Allen, I feel like he definitely
the routine
folds his clothes a certain way, has a layout, and you know what I'm saying? Like the routine, they do everything the same way all the time, and it's like, that's what I thought, but I'm not sure every shooter does that.
I've never thought of it that way, but that makes sense. I wasn't a prolific shooter like you, obviously, but I could shoot, so I'm like that. Like my space needs to be organized and like, I'm not saying no names, but someone came to the crib the other day, had grass and stuff. I had to come vacuum it bothers me to see that. You know what I'm saying? So
it's inconsiderate. It's inconsiderate.
You know what I mean? Someone was laughing, as you can see on the left of you right now.
Grinds the gear. Yeah. Harrison's one of those guys.
Fair.
Yeah, I let him house sit one time. Almost beat him up. Seriously, I almost beat him up. I came back to my house after 2 weeks and was like, bro, did you want to fight? Did you purposely leave my house like this? Like, it was bad.
Oh, man. No, I've been out with you, so I know the level of treatment you get, and in some situations. I remember one time we were going out, and I was like, yo, you want me to do? You're like, nah, it's different. You're like, it's different over here. I was like, okay, I understand. So we go out to eat, and I feel like, with fame, it comes privilege, and with that comes expectation.
For sure. There's a lot of perks. There's a lot of advantages and some disadvantages.
For sure. Do you think that's something that athletes at your level, including yourself, I know you talked about with the Spurs, like, do you think they miss that part of it, or is it more so the game?
Both, but that for sure too.
Yeah.
Once you're done playing, you get decent treatment, but it ain't the same.
It ain't the same, man.
The phone calls ain't being picked up as fast or not getting back to you as quicker. The restaurants ain't staying open as late for you.
Right.
The clubs
or
ain't
you can't call ahead. I remember we used to call ahead.
The clubs ain't giving you like, a lot of things just ain't happening as fast or as easy as it used to be. You
remember Darren wanted to go to STK?
Yeah.
He called ahead. Uber service.
They have, I mean, a lot of things they'll set up for you in certain places when you're playing. And when you're not playing, depending on the city, they still might be able to say it's a good care. So the places that I can call home,
Yeah.
they still give me a lot of good treatment here. But not everywhere you're going to get the same said treatment.
Have you ever felt when you walked into a room, per se, for a business meeting or whatever it is you're doing, the athlete tag, where it's like you're just an athlete? Or have you always tried to showcase yourself as more than?
I always showcase myself as more than. I think that's why I've never been looked at as that.
Mm-hmm.
Some rooms, yes, but most people look at me as not just because they've seen me. Like, it's easier to see someone's brand now and see if your
Fair.
intellect is further enough to pick up things and to learn the space fast. So they're like, all right, he's not just an athlete. He knows who he is. And the higher IQ players know who they are. They have a better sense or a smaller sense of delusion than most people in the world. Everybody has a little bit of a sense of delusion
For
of who
sure.
they are.
You kind of need it, though.
You do, to be
Yeah.
confident in what you're doing. But everybody thinks they're better than they really are, which you should in most senses. But the high IQ people know who they are and what their strengths are and weaknesses are. And when you're that person, they look at you as like, okay,
He is
a high IQ, he's self-aware, and he can adapt and adjust, and he's not just an athlete.
Yeah.
And he's smart enough to pick up these things. But there are a lot of rooms where it's like, all right, he's an athlete, so we're going to have to break this down to him. But he's smart enough to know. There's a lot of other athletes they look at like, all right, he's never going to understand. We have to get to the person close to him and give him, like, in layman's terms, sense of how to understand certain things.
Yeah, explain it to me like a 5-year-old type of thing.
Yeah.
Is making the NBA your greatest accomplishment?
No. Staying.
Hmm.
The hardest thing, it's hard to make it for sure.
Oh, hell
Getting
yeah.
drafted, top 60 in the world, and I don't think at the time nobody appreciates it. Everybody that goes home that's not number one is pretty upset
Of course.
because they think they should have been number one or in the top 10. They're like, oh, this team picked so-and-so over me. I was a second-round draft pick, so I was very unhappy. But looking back, it's top 60 in the world. To be picked in the world, 60 people, it's a huge deal.
And then 60 got to go as well.
I mean, not everybody that gets picked stays.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Right.
And this is not just U.S. This is other countries.
The world.
So yes, it's a huge accomplishment, but there's a lot of guys that get drafted that don't end up making a team, staying. So you come to realize the work is not like it's just getting started.
Mm-hmm.
And to be in the lifespan of an NBA player, it's like 3.5, 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
If you stay past that, you're very lucky and blessed.
How many years you played?
Technically 15. I tell people 14, but technically 15 years.
Hats off to you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's
So
an
yes,
amazing accomplishment.
hardest thing is staying, because every day you're fighting for your job.
And that's real. Every day you're fighting for a job.
You're competing not only against other teams, you're competing against your teammates,
Yeah.
you coaching staff, yourself. Like, there's a lot of things that come into play when you're on the court. There's a lot of pressures that people don't understand. So, oh, he should have made that layup. Like, oh, he should do this, should do that. And like, what is he thinking about? Why is he so in his head? It's like, man, I got pressure on me. The guy behind me is playing really well. He might take my minutes. The coaching staff is looking at this, and that. My family is expecting this of me. I'm expecting this of myself. And I got to play against this other team. The guy might be talking trash to me. So like,
right. And on top of that, the other dude is one of the best players in the world at that as well.
Exactly.
You
They're
know?
very good at what they do. So you have a lot of different things.
Which most people would not even think about.
Until somebody brings it to light.
There's a clip of you talking about SGA when he when he was a rookie. He bumped you. You said how strong he was. Are you surprised by his success now?
No. I mean, nobody ever sees MVP from young kids.
Of course.
But you can see he was a special player.
Yeah.
Like, even when I was playing with certain guys, I never saw Kawhi come. Like, I didn't see that happening.
Yeah.
When he got to San Antonio, I don't think he was not what he a complete 180 to how he came in. You know what I'm saying? Nobody could predict that. He was just a big body, big long arms. Like, he wasn't a great shooter.
I got wide shoulders.
Yeah,
bro.
so he had big hands, wide shoulders, but he couldn't really shoot the ball well. He was decent with his hands, but I'm like, and George Hill was a good Spur, and he was a friend of mine. I'm like, a lot of people looked at like, damn, I can't believe they traded George for this kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, they see Bruce Bowen in him. Guy became way better than Bruce Bowen. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's considered one of the best two-way players to ever play the game
100%.
in history. So nobody saw that. So it was SGA. You saw special, but you did not see like MVP caliber.
It's kind of good.
Could have been MVP last year. Might be this year. Even with young kids, like Tyrese Maxey, like I saw that he was special, but I didn't expect. Like actually, I could see him being an all-star, but like he was good, and I knew by the way he carried himself, he was going to be a good player, a good kid. But some guys you just never know. You never.
It's a guessing game. It's bro. It's
a
a lottery
risk,
for
especially
a
when they're
reason.
young. It's a big risk.
Yeah. We obviously got to talk about the current state of the NBA and how they're talking about ratings being down and talking about how there's many different factors.
Got out at the right time, man.
Yeah.
The ratings are down because your boy's not in there no
fair.
more. That's
I
why
hear
you're not
you.
watching your boy.
I hear you.
Yeah.
There's multiple different theories as to why everything. People saying they're shooting too much threes. People saying, what's your take on that, and how do you fix it?
I agree and disagree. I think I love them. I'm a 3-point shooter, so I love threes.
Yeah,
I think certain teams shoot too many threes. There's certain teams that don't belong in that space of an identity because you're not a 3-point shooting team.
It's a good way of looking at it.
If that's your identity and you're good at it, yes, you should do that. But now it's like it's a I wouldn't say a gift and a curse, but it's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Because if you don't shoot enough threes, you can't compete with the other teams.
Just based on math,
right? But for me, I think there's small changes that you can make to make it better. They're trying to cut down the quarters to 10-minute quarters. I'm not a fan of that.
Me either.
And I'm a defensive guy, so I'm very biased. I hate the foul baiting stuff, the flopping. And so I grew up watching, MJ and those guys, and I kind of played in that era, but I played in a sense where we play in the post and be more physical.
Yep.
And guys didn't manipulate the game to where referees made calls because they grabbed the guy's arm or they bumped through the head back. I say get rid of all the foul baiting, which would cut out a lot of the issues because then the game doesn't slow down. You don't go to free throw line every time. And also, if you want to speed the game up, take some notes from the G League. Do the 1 for 2 until the last 2 minutes. So they take 1 free throw for 2 points.
That's right.
That could change some things. I also love the fact that they're doing anything under 3 seconds is not a shot attempt unless you make it. So, like, you get the half-court heaves.
Yeah.
That's one of the things. I think the G League is done. That's been pretty interesting. But ultimately, I think viewership will change. We get, I wouldn't say a better product, but it just seems like it's a lot of pickup ball because a lot of threes and there's no discipline. There's not many sets run.
Yeah.
But if you take out the foul baiting, I think that changes that a little bit.
A lot of kids aren't just playing basketball anymore because they have so many other distractions. They can play video games. They can make money in crypto, and there's so many other factors.
For sure. But they watch their favorite players, and they try to do what their favorite players do. And you're not going to be as good as your favorite players, so you shouldn't do those things. Ultimately, why the NBA is being taken over by foreigners.
Yeah.
They are more fundamental. They play the right way. They do the little things. The U.S. has kind of steered away from that.
That is correct. This one is obviously important, but I have to ask because I like the opinions of people that have done it. Like, you've competed against these people at the highest level. You know what it feels like when they drive by you. I'm going to preface this by saying I don't read a lot of comments, but I always find it interesting when there's a GOAT debate and when there's debate about play. No, hold on. There's a debate about certain players. The people in the comments will tell you, the guy who's played 15 years, done seen Kawhi, played against, guarded Kobe, played with LeBron, played with Tim Duncan. They'll say to you, you don't know what you're talking about because I watched. You've been on the floor with these people, and the comments are just, it's insane. So
yes.
I have to ask you first, who is the greatest player of all time? I'd love to hear this from you.
I like to think the greatest of their era. There's different GOATs. There's more than one. And my GOAT, there's different GOATs for different people. My GOAT was Mike.
Okay. Why?
I mean, I just grew up watching him. And to me, he was just the most dominant, not just offensively.
Also the most
mentally,
complete.
Defensively, leadership-wise. Everybody does numbers and things like that, and they look at championships. Those obviously matter. But if you do that, like, Bill Russell would be, So it's different for different people. But all those guys are GOAT in their sense, of their era. Wilt had a time. Bill Russell had a time. Those are GOATs. Even Bron had a time. So I like to give a lot of guys flowers and credit because it ain't easy being at the top of the mountain and for that long of a time. I'd like to say Mike was the greatest of all time to me, but LeBron had the greatest career of all time.
And we'll leave it at that. Mike's also a UNC guy, so it's you're kind of
100%.
biased.
That's why I went to school
100%. Yeah, you biased, man. When people, especially here in Toronto, when they say your name, what do you hope that they say?
In Toronto? I mean, It's a couple different things.
Because he won a title here.
Yes,
the
yes.
only and first one.
Obviously, I want to be known as a winner, not just on the court, but off the court, but just had a winning personality. I want to be known more for the things I do off the court than on the court, just as a a great human. And I think that's your legacy. Like, obviously, people remember things you do on the court. A lot of times that will fade away. Like, people don't know, even young kids today, they don't remember how good Shaq and Charles Barkley was. They see him as media heads now.
Crazy.
5 years from now, I'll probably not be remembered as a basketball player. Be like, oh, yeah, the guy that does TV.
Yeah.
It's like, no, the guy that played basketball, won 3 championships.
15 years.
Like, they're not going to know that. So, kind of your identity changes over time. So, more importantly to me is just, being recognized as a guy that always, spread a lot of love for his city, his community, and did things for, the children and the people in his community. So, just as a great human, a great energy, but that was known as a winner on and off the court and did things the right way.
Dope, man. Well, we have a final game to conclude.
All right.
It's
Trivia?
called for 3.
Okay. It's hot. Like,
Which-
run them off? We run them off?
No.
Okay.
You can answer any of these questions. You can either finish the sentence.
Okay.
It's a statement or question. You can finish in one word or one sentence.
Okay.
So question number 1. You ready? Obviously, it's for 3. Like, this is what you
Yeah.
do. So question 1, finish the sentence. Basketball is?
Life.
2, if rookie Danny walked in here right now and sat where I'm sitting,
Yeah.
what advice would you give him?
Nothing.
You wouldn't say a word to him?
No, I wouldn't tell him a damn thing.
Was not expecting that.
You got to live it, kid. And it's going to be a fun ride. So just enjoy it.
It's dope. It's a good answer. 3, Danny Green is known as a winner because fill in the blank.
He did things the right way. Yeah.
In life, Danny continues to win because he
Does things the right way. Yeah.
Well, that's a wrap.
And works hard. He worked hard and he did things the right way. So, yeah,
Okay, that's
he worked
fair. That's
hard.
more than one sentence.
Yeah.
It's okay. You can keep going.
So I would say worked hard for one and then does things the right way for the other one.
That's
So,
what's up. One of the things that I appreciate the most about you is that when I message you, it's you who responds to me.
Yeah,
You have all the fame and notoriety.
Who the fuck else?
No, you have all the fame and
get my phone. Yeah.
There's other people who have assistants and this and all this other stuff, and I always love that about you is that you treat me like I matter, and you don't have to do that because of what, and I understand, but it makes me as someone who, obviously I want to be, successful in my life, and I am, but it always gives me that, don't get too big for your britches, man. They always keep things humble.
I got to give a lot of credit to those before me.
Of course.
Because they made me feel the same way, and they make time out because they look at, we're all human, right? The Tim Duncans, the LeBron Jameses of the world, those guys still respond back to me to this day like I'm, like we just hung out yesterday. Yeah. And I probably haven't seen Timmy in some time. But every time I see him, his eyes light up. He treats me like one of his friends. The
same way you treat me, that's what I'm saying.
And
so
we're friends. So.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, man. It's been enjoy watching you play all the years, and every time we got to link up, whether it was Detroit and San Antonio, the first time I met you, it's been fun. So I can't thank you enough for being here and doing the pod with us and shining light on the realities of the the transitional journey for athletes. I think it's the people who are going to hear this, it'll definitely resonate with them that it doesn't matter about all the things that we think are important. This is a real issue and a real thing that people are experiencing.
Well, I mean, as much as I'm doing the favor for you, it's more so I think your platform is a great one, and you know how to express to people to relay this information. So I think it's important to get it out there. You have a great platform, especially the people in Canada. Yeah. So no thanks necessary, brother. I think it's just my job to do this, man.
Thank you. Hey, guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. If you like this episode, I'm sure you're going to love the other ones. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and, of course, share with a friend. Until next time.